Yeah, it's easy just to think they're the 31st member of NATO, but it's actually far from that. This is pretty significant. First of all, it extends NATO's direct border with Russia. It's only an extra 800 miles, but it more than doubles the direct border, which is significant. It's also Finland, ever since World War II, has been neutral. When during World War II, the former Soviet Union invaded Finland, but at the end of the war, it was agreed that Finland would remain neutral to keep a buffer zone between East and West. And even just before the war, Finland's population, less than a third of them wanted to join NATO. Literally straight after the invasion, 80% wanted to join. And that's why you've seen this rush to accession. From a Russian perspective, they've said they'll bolster their defensive systems if they see NATO deploying forces into Finland. And it's been relatively muted response. But actually, that will be quite wrong to misinterpret that. Putin will be very concerned about NATO expanding because he didn't want NATO to expand. He's inherited quite the opposite. And also, it's quite a long border up here. And if they do have to put military forces up there, he actually hasn't got enough military forces for Ukraine at the moment, let alone mounting defence on that border. Interesting, just looking back, so 1949, the first 12 founding members of NATO, so include the US over there. But the point is that there's a huge buffer zone here between the West of NATO and the former Soviet Union. But of course, in 1990, four of the Soviet Union, all of a sudden, a lot of these nations in between suddenly went, we're looking for security. The key ones are the Baltic states here, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, that all chose to join NATO. As a result, we had a direct border then with NATO itself. Now, of course, Putin's invasion of Ukraine was deliberately an effort to stop Ukraine also falling to NATO and massively expanding and it also showed the vulnerability of nations like Finland and Sweden, which led to their decision. I think there's a note of caution here, though. The use of the word celebration of Finland's accession to NATO. In a way, there's an inevitable consequence of Putin's invasion of Ukraine, but there will be consequences for NATO's expansion, not least of which that will increase tensions between East and West. We don't have the buffer zones anymore, which have served us so well, which will increase frictions.